Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good day yesterday and you're nice and rested and you don't have to worry about it now for 300 more days. My eye hurts, so I have to wear glasses again. I'm very famous. So, we're going to spend the day mostly with one judge, but you're going to love this docket. I love this. The clips that I have today are so good. Um, we're going to start off nice and slow with a different judge in a different courtroom, and then we're going to jump right into Judge Johnson, and we're going to stay with Johnson all day. And you're going to love it. I'm telling you. One of them is pretty sad, but it's also, you'll see. You'll see. There we go. I don't remember this judge's name. I'm pretty sure Colorado.
I have. How many more do you have?
I don't know.
I know. I have one,
This is
two.
the last in custody.
Well, we got some more in custody, don't we?
I don't know. Do we?
I don't really know.
We'll figure that out next, I think.
All right.
All right, this is Miss Carlson.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're on bond.
Stand over here, sorry.
All right. That was 24 CR 1545. I'll take entries of appearance.
Jennifer Chu on behalf of Miss Carlson. Julia Brady for the people.
All right. We've been added on. As Ms. Carlson failed to appear in an arraignment. Been handed plea paperwork. Looks like she would like to enter a guilty plea to an added count 3 criminal mischief, class 1 misdemeanor. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
All right, man. Before I accept your plea, there's certain matters I need to advise you of. Most of that's been covered. Most of that's covered in the written paperwork that's been given to the court. Yes? Okay.
Are you having a hard time hearing it? Because I just had to turn it down in my ear. It was so loud. Is the sound okay? Thank you.
Are you satisfied with the services of your... If felony convictions are disclosed to the jury will be instructed to consider them only as they affect your credibility. If you remain silent, you have the right to have the jury instructed that your silence cannot be used against you. You have the right to appeal any conviction and to an attorney to help with the appeal. If you qualify for court-appointed counsel, you have the right to court-appointed counsel for the appeal. Do you understand these rights and that you will be giving up these rights if you plead guilty?
Yes, I do.
All right, how old are you, ma'am?
48.
What was the highest grade in school you completed?
Well,
Are you thinking clearly this morning?
okay.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
Okay.
You understand that a guilty plea, you will be admitting the charge to which you're pleading guilty?
Yes, I do.
You understand if you wanted to deny the charge, you could plead not guilty?
Yes.
All right. Next thing I want to go over the elements of the offense to which you're pleading guilty. That is covered in paragraph 11 of your plea. Paragraph 11A indicates that you're pleading to this as an act of domestic violence, and it has the definition of domestic violence. Paragraph 12 has the other definitions that apply. Have you had enough time to go over the elements and definitions with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Has your attorney been able to explain them to your satisfaction?
Yes, she did.
Do you understand that each of those elements would have to be proved by the prosecution beyond a reasonable doubt before you can be convicted of that offense?
Yes, I do.
All right, the next thing I want to go over,
Yeah, Maiko. I know. Now there's two psychos in here. Which one is more psycho? The psycho one or Maiko psycho? I'm worried because normally, statistically, there's just one serial killer in a group. Now we might really have two. Guys, I have a list, though, if one of you really is.
are the penalties the court could impose in this case. That's covered in paragraph 16 of your plea. For a class 1 misdemeanor, if the court were to impose a jail sentence, there's a maximum of 364 days, the possible fine of up to $1,000. Do you understand that?
I do.
Do you understand the court could impose a sentence here that's either concurrent with or consecutive to any other sentence to which you are subject?
Yes, I do.
All right, let me take a look at paragraph 21A. All right, people recommending probation, and we're dismissing a misdemeanor matter. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right, ma'am. Other than what I see in your plea agreement here and what we talked about this morning, has anyone made any other promises to you of leniency or favors to get you to plead guilty?
Yes, sir.
And you understand the court's not bound by any promises or inducements to get you to plead guilty. That includes any statements anyone made to you concerning the penalty the court will impose or the granting of probation. In other words, no matter what anybody has told you, no matter what your plea agreement says, do you understand that ultimately I decide the punishment here?
Yes, I do.
All right. Counsel, have you discussed possible immigration consequences with your client?
I did.
Ma'am, I don't know if it applies to you or not, but I advise everybody. Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, this plea may carry a risk of adverse immigration consequences? It could result in deportation proceedings from the United States. All right. Do you have any questions for me before I accept your plea?
I do not.
All right. How do you wish to plead to the charge of criminal mischief, a class 1 misdemeanor, as an act of domestic violence, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Are you doing this freely and voluntarily?
Sir.
No one forcing you or pressure you into this plea?
No.
Counsel, is there a factual basis for the plea or will the defendant waive the establishment?
We'll waive.
All right, the defendant is present in court this morning. She's alert. She's clearly responded to the court's questions. Her responses demonstrate to the court that she fully understands the plea agreement and the consequences of entering into the plea. Therefore, the court will accept the guilty plea, finding this been given intelligently, knowingly, and voluntarily. Immediate sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any VRA issue with that?
He did indicate a while ago that he might want to be present via WebEx. He was provided with that WebEx link. And I do not see him, so we can proceed.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Brady.
Thank you. So on the date of offense, Kevin, the victim, and
Kevin, the victim, guys, really, really, really made her mad. And when they say she threw everything but the kitchen sink, she threw everything but the kitchen sink. Are you ready for this?
Ms. Carlson began to argue. I believe the argument revolved around a doctor's appointment that Ms. Carlson had scheduled. I don't know the details of the argument, but either way, one ensued. Kevin, the victim, he tried to avoid getting into the argument with Ms. Carlson. At one point, he was asleep. He said he was woken up to a loud banging noise and heard Ms. Carlson yelling and throwing items around the house. And at one point, Ms. Carlson went into the bedroom and grabbed his shirt and ripped it. The argument continued outside and they were yelling at each other. I believe a neighbor witnessed the argument and actually videotaped some of the argument, and the video showed Ms. Carlson take a handheld vacuum and throw it towards the victim, and then the victim throws it back towards Ms. Carlson. And then it can be seen that Ms. Carlson grabs 2 bamboo poles in front of the house and starts swinging them at the victim. and then tries to hit the front door screen with the poles and kicks the door, the front door. And then Ms. Carlson, through a trash can, hit the victim's passenger side door. And then I believe she used a brick and threw it at the car, and the brick smashed the sunroof of the vehicle. And then she took a mountain bike and was driving the mountain bike into the side of the victim's vehicle. I will note that the victim did not want anything bad to happen to Ms. Carlson. He did file a motion to dismiss, I believe, a few months ago, indicating that he sold the car to Ms. Carlson. However, he never noted that to officers. That was the first time I've ever seen that or heard that. And I do believe it's his way of trying to limit Ms. Carlson's criminal exposure. Additionally, Ms. Carlson does not have any prior felony convictions. I believe this would be a first for her. So we're recommending probation with domestic violence treatment, and I do not believe there's any restitution.
Stu.
Your Honor, I'm asking the court to sentence Ms. Carlson to 1 year of probation. She is currently on probation out of a case in Utah that was transferred through interstate compact to Adams County, so I'd be asking for that to run concurrently. I can tell the court that she has one prior DV case. It's a 2016 Class 3 misdemeanor criminal mischief. But other than that, she doesn't have any prior domestic violence convictions. Ultimately, Ms. Carlson had a very difficult relationship with the victim in this case. They have since parted ways. They've separated, and she's really ready to just move on in life. So that's my request.
All right. Ms. Carlson, it's your sentencing hearing this morning, so you have an opportunity to make a statement if you'd like. You don't have to. But if you want to, I'll listen to whatever it is you have to say.
It's okay,
Judge, duck. Duck, Judge. Don't let her get into an argument with you. She's going to throw that desk at you.
just wanted to say I take full responsibility for my actions and I'm ready to move on with this. And I do have some health issues. I did have cancer, and that's what that doctor's appointment was about, that he was addressing because I didn't want him to come. We were already divorced at that point, and he was trying to meddle in an affair that really wasn't his concern. So I think that's where I kind of lost my cool. I just wanted to let you know I do take full responsibility for that.
All right, thank you. All right, the matter is for the court for sentencing. In sentencing, I have taken into consideration all relevant factors, as well as the purpose of sentencing as expressed in our sentencing statutes. Based on those considerations, the court will accept the party's proposed disposition. Sentence the defendant to 1 year probation. There'll be domestic violence evaluation and treatment with that. There's no restitution. It will run concurrent to whatever this Utah matter is. But it's being supervised here, right? We're still keeping it in Colorado? Okay.
I actually already have a,
Oh, that's fine.
okay,
We're all good on that.
okay.
All right, per the plea, the court will dismiss 24M2418. Anything else?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Anything with people?
Nothing from the people.
All right, Ms. Carlson, good luck to you. We're going to get your paperwork to your attorney.
Okay.
Assuming there are no other holds on you, you'll be released later today from the jail. You need to check in with probation within 24 hours of your release, all right?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
So she got a little angry, guys. In this next one, the judge gets a little angry. I mean, he doesn't throw anything, yell, scream. He doesn't do any of that. But he tells it exactly like it is. This was from before in December. I had this for a bit. I just haven't had time to look at it. And today I did. And I missed all of this the day it happened.
Mr.
There's
Cruz.
Johnson. Hi, Judge.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Can we please call Mr. Valdez before
Sure.
we call Mr. Cruz? Thank
Yeah.
you.
We can call anybody who's in the courtroom right now. Mr. Cruz is going to take a while, so. All right, so this is 93, Michael Valdez,
Yes.
24 CR 2436, People versus Valdez. Entries.
Daniel LaCheco for the people.
And Robert Spelsk on behalf of Mr. Valdez, who's appearing in person on bond.
All right, set for sentencing today. I've reviewed the November 13th, 2024 PSI. Any additions or corrections from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Checo.
Your Honor, I'll first note, the victim did not want to be present today. She did want to write a statement to have read on her behalf, but she never sent that in. So it's unclear exactly what her position is. I would just, remind the court what Mr. Valdez said in the PSI. Kind of says it all about his attitudes towards the victim and women in general. It's very clear from his history he is not willing to follow court orders, to stay away from the victim and alcohol, nor does he appear ready to follow through with probation. I would ask the court to sentence Mr. Valdez to 3 years in the Department of Corrections with mandatory parole.
Mr. Weska?
Your Honor, we are asking for the court to sentence Mr. Valdez to probation. He did spend time in custody in this case prior to bonding out. He has 95 days of credit that I would note for the record. Certainly, I read the PSI and was a little surprised to see the statement given by Mr. Valdez, but I spoke with him about that. And we talked,
so
and
much. Thank
he
you.
had indicated to me that at the time of the PSI, he was still struggling with homelessness, wasn't really in, frankly, a very positive state of mind, and I think made some statements there that he certainly regrets making today. I think he wants to make a statement to the court, again, restating his accountability and acknowledging the wrong that he had in this situation and in this case, and is going to accept the sentence that will be granted by this court. This is his first adult felony here in Colorado. There's this terroristic threats against a peace officer in Texas. I think I've seen that before. It's kind of an odd charge. I don't know that it would equate to a felony charge here in Colorado. And he has some juvenile history, but I don't think the court should have a lot of weight on that. Ultimately, this is a habitual domestic violence case with this, stalking allegation, certainly concerning, but I think Mr. Valdez, now that he is out of custody, he's worked to get engaged with the Second Chance Center. His representative from the Second Chance Center is still here. She's been here with him since he arrived this morning. That's going to be that is a sober living environment for him to keep his mind clear, which I think has been sort of a contributing factor to his struggles in the criminal justice system since he was a juvenile. And so I think that once he is in this sober facility and in this living, that's going to just put him in a much better position to be successful on probation than those previous 5 times that were mentioned in the PSI where he was not successful ultimately on probation. I think he understands that he has a lot riding on completing probation successfully here and understands that he'd be facing a significant prison sentence if he is not 100% compliant. And so he's here today asking the court to consider sentencing him to probation.
Sir, you have the right to tell me anything you'd like me to know before I sentence?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to take full responsibility for all my actions. I've struggled with homelessness, alcohol addiction for about the past 7 years. Burned a lot of bridges due to alcoholism, put myself in a lot of bad positions with the legal troubles, personal troubles, family. Pushed a lot of people away from me. I became very dependent on the victim because that's the only one that stuck around. So I felt like I was in a position where I just depended and relied on that person. And when the victim finally wanted to let me go, it was hard for me to go because I was so used to just having that one person and being on the streets and in and out of jail. She stuck by me, and then when she finally was ready to let me go, I just couldn't accept it.
Robert,
So
thank you so much. Thank you.
I should have stayed away, gave space, respected her wishes. I deeply regret a lot of my decisions at the time. My mind wasn't in the place that it's at today. I've been in the sober living program since October 14th. Before that, I bonded out in July and I was homeless again, still trying to make my pretrial meetings, keep my GPS monitor charged. And it's been a struggle, being out there on the streets, trying to keep your stuff charged and keep up with the appointments. But I've done everything I can to show that I, could change. And I took the further step and reached out to a second chance, and they placed me into a sober living program called Mountain West. And since I've been there, I've been able to gain employment, speak to therapists, kind of just do things that I would run away from before. And it's helped me out a lot in the last almost 2 months now. I work full time. I have money saved now. I feel healthier. I don't think about alcohol no more. I finally learned to let go of a lot of things I've been holding on, including the victim in this case. And if she was here today, that I would like to apologize and just let her know that I'm sorry. There's no ill intentions, and I just want to move on with my life. And as I know she wants to, and I have no intentions of ever speaking to that woman again. And whatever you feel fit to do today, I'm ready for, because I want to own up to
You're sort of not allowed to, sir. You're not allowed to even say her name.
my actions as a man. That's pretty much it, sir.
Well, I hope you have turned a corner, but the bottom line is I can't ignore the fact that you've spent years assaulting and abusing women. And then the facts of this case are ridiculous. Then you claim that she's the one who's crazy but you're getting railroaded because this is a pro-woman state. No, we're anti-stalking. We're anti-domestic violence. You're the one who showed up to DIA. You didn't do that.
Yes,
That's
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
That's you. So I don't know where your head is really, but the bottom line is, we have a social contract in this country. People give up the right to take justice into their own hands. They cede that to the state. And if I let you walk out of here on a fourth domestic violence conviction and a stalking case after what happened in this case, that's when people lose faith in the system. So this is about punishment. And so you are going to get 2 years in the Department of Corrections. We'll note the pre-sentence confinement credit in the PSI of the 95 days. There is a 2-year period of mandatory parole. Is there any restitution?
No.
Colorado.
Warrant an order of no pecuniary loss. You may have a certain limited right to appeal this sentence under Colorado Appellate Rule 4.
I don't know what that means, and I don't even know if I can say it. No pecuniary loss. I do not know what that means.
Or if you do that, it's got to be within 49 days. You may have the right for post-conviction reduction in sentence under Rule 35B. That has to be filed within 126 days. You're remanded.
Send you actions. It's important to try and engage on whatever programming you can. Ask for the court to reconsider the sentence to probation. We have 126 days from today's date.
No financial loss. Thank you, Psycho. That makes sense.
Do you want that in property?
It just gets better from here. The judge just gets better with everybody. They all get to say what they want to say. And then the judge nails them at the end. Score. Money, 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 money.
24 CR 3243, People versus Cruz. I gave you a advisement as your waiver of right of counsel. Indicates here that you do read and understand English.
Let's see how this chat works. I just throw words at it. They're going to give me definitions. Fiduciary. We went from pecuniary. Now let's go fiduciary.
You understand you have the right to be represented by counsel. You understand that if you can't afford counsel, counsel will be appointed to represent you. you were on probation on a case, so the sentencing range that would show here is going to be in the exceptional circumstances. So the maximum, is under that exceptional circumstances. You're not looking at 2 to 6. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
These aren't extraordinary risks, so I think the max is 12 years on the F4s.
Yes, Your Honor.
You indicated you had no legal training. You went through 11th grade. Indicated that you're not under any influence of any drugs. You do not wish to consult with a public defender any further. You do understand that criminal law is complicated. You understand you have the right to represent yourself, but you take a risk of not doing it properly. Do you have any questions for me about anything that's in this advisal?
No, sir. Number 17 was a little tricky, but I think that's regarding like after trial. I'm not sure.
No, that has to do with body worn camera and when they get released or when they don't. And if the police were going to release the body worn camera, you've got a 21-day deadline to object.
Yes, sir.
All right. Looks like you've been to DOC. Looks like at least 6 times. Looks like you've got 8 prior felonies that I see. So you've got experience in the system. Why is it you want to represent yourself?
I just feel like I give myself the best options at this point because I feel like he's just set on what kind of deal to get instead of trying to win the case, trying
Guys, the judge is so good here. Really good.
to beat the case, honestly. He's told me like, well, you're on camera, so basically there's no beating the case. So if he doesn't have any, I don't know, any faith in himself, then I'm not gonna have any faith in him with my life on the line. To be honest with you.
Do you have kids?
Yes, sir.
Is your job as a parent to blow sunshine up their rear ends and lie to them? Or is your job as a dad to like be honest with them and tell them the situation they're in?
I know what my job is as a parent, but he's not my parent.
No, but yeah, it's similar in that his job behind closed doors is to assess the case and say, if this is his opinion, to assess, look, the DA is going to be able to prove this. Your best option is to reduce your exposure and take a deal. That doesn't mean he's not a good trial lawyer. That doesn't mean he doesn't have faith. That means he's doing his job. Behind closed doors, he's assessing the evidence and telling you, this is what I think is going to happen based on his training and experience.
But if you were
And he would be, well, if I were you,
you were me, you were in my shoes, and this
I'd want honesty. Because you do get to decide whether or not to go to trial.
Yeah.
You can ignore the advice. But do you think you've got a better chance at trial on your own rather than him? Just because behind closed doors, he's telling you, let's assume hypothetically, he's been telling you, you're on camera, you're going down.
Yeah.
That's his job behind closed doors. That doesn't mean when he's here in front of a jury that he's not biting his rear end off for you and doing the best he can for you. I mean, I think sometimes defendants fail to understand that their job in front of a jury in open court in front of the judge is different than it is behind closed doors with you. behind closed doors, he's being honest with the assessment and telling you, buddy, you're going down on F4s with maximum of 12. They're offering you an F5 and F6 they're offering you a cap. They're offering you a STIP ComCore, whatever it is they can work out. You're reducing your exposure. That's him working for you behind the scenes. That doesn't mean that, in front of it, like I said, if he's going to be handling a trial,
Hi, Terry.
he's not doing it halfway. He's not, that's when he comes in and he's doing everything, full throttle. But he's got an obligation to tell you his assessment of the case. And, I just worry that, I don't know if you think you can do a better cross-examination than him, that you can do a better opening statement, that you'll file better motions. Look, you have a right to be represented. You're obviously educated. You've had experience in the system. If you want to represent yourself, I'm going to let you. But I got to tell you, if your intent is to take this to trial, your best bet is going to be with that guy next to you, not doing it by yourself. When people represent themselves, because we'll tell the jury, I tell the jury, you can't have sympathy for Mr. Cruz because he's chosen to exercise his right to represent himself. You can't feel sorry for him because he decided to play one-on-one with LeBron James. I'm 6'6". I wouldn't play one-on-one with LeBron James. He'd kill me. That's his court. This is his court. This is his court. So,
I don't know. I just, from past experience, I did 12 years for something that really only carries 3 years. So, I don't have a lot of faith and I don't have a lot of faith in people who've been chosen to appoint me, because of that in the past. So I'd rather it's going to be like that. I'd rather just put my faith in myself and whatever happens, just happens.
all right. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yes.
All right. If you change your mind at some point, you let me know. I'll grant your motion. Office of the Public Defender is off the case. Thank you. Pardon me?
ADC on the case.
I'm sorry, your ADC. I apologize. I appreciate your time and your efforts.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Well, we're set for arraignment today. Do you want time to try to negotiate with the attorney and you want me to continue the arraignment, or do you want to go ahead and set this for trial?
Set it for trial, sir.
All right, then we'll enter a not guilty plea. Speedy trial is May 26, 2025.
What did he say? He's been to the DOC 6 times already before? Yeah, it's going to go badly for him. Or it will go swimmingly. I could be wrong.
That was May 6th.
That works for the people.
Actually, with this one being pro se, is May 20th work?
That also works. I would anticipate one day of testimony.
All right, trial will be set for May 20th. We'll set it for 2 days. We'll do an expanded veneer. Let's do pretrial conference May 5th. I will give you until January 6th to file motions. Normally I'd give you to like the middle of December, but since you're in custody and you have limited ability to research and write, I'll extend that to January 6th. That's when, if you're going to file any constitutional motions, they're due by January 6th.
I don't have to appear for that date though, right?
No.
All right.
He pauses a lot. He thinks a lot.
Hearing on motions will be March 21st
Hi, Miguel.
at 10 a.m.
I did set this up to have music in the background,
So you will be here on that date.
but it's not working. Let me try something. Do you hear any music in the background? Oh my God, Cha is here. Hi, Cha. Hello, Cha. Cha, you missed it. I had a tie on yesterday. You want to know why? Because I'm a professional.
We'll get that Arguello advisal uploaded. So that's part of the file.
And just to put the offer on the record, Your Honor, given the posture, the offer in this case was to plead to count 2, second-degree assault, physical force while in custody, the cap of 7 years, Department of Corrections, no objection to concurrent sentencing with 23 CR 455 and waiving the 2 prior felony rule. That offer will remain open until the hearing on motions on March 21st.
All right. Any questions, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Well, if you're going to choose to accept that offer, you can do it by apparently the 21st. That's when the DA has indicated that he will close the offer. The last day I will take any offer that plea that does not include count 1 is the pretrial conference date, May 5th.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll see you in May or March.
Thank you.
We have Miss Myers, number 65 out.
Okay, I think this is the one. I think this one was pretty sad, and it pushes the limit of what I normally show on my stream.
Mr. Barofsky, 58.
21 CR 6774, People versus Myers entries.
Daniel DeCecco for the people.
Josh Lindell on behalf of Ms. Myers, who appears with me in custody.
All right, set for resentencing today. We ready to proceed?
We're ready to proceed.
People are ready.
Go ahead, Mr. DeCecco.
Your Honor, this is the third revocation in this case with a long track record of terrible compliance with probation. And she's recently picked up 4 cases and has already pled
This is not the real sad one. She gets what she gets.
to a DM1 in one of those. Thus, the people are asking the court to impose the suspended 18 months Department of Corrections.
Mr. Lindell.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Myers requests another opportunity at probation. She is currently involved with WellPower as well as the Second Chance Center, so is getting some community resources. Additionally, she has a job lined up in housekeeping and has housing lined up through WellPower as well. My understanding is she's in
In my defense, I didn't get it because people speak French in here all the time, and my eyes just sort of slide right past it. Psycho Killer. You're singing Psycho Killer. I love that song.
temporary housing awaiting placement in permanent housing.
All right, ma'am, do you have anything you'd like to tell me?
No, but I know I was doing good on probation, so I just got in trouble with my housing, so. And I've been fighting this case for almost 3 years, and it began with the guy who stabbed me, so. No, Your Honor, so whatever happens today, I just go with it. And also with the fire department and the ambulance shooting me up with ketamine, so.
All right, well, you'd been on probation
I've been back and
on
forth.
count 2 and count 4. Count 2, the sentence has already completed, so the only thing left is count 4, the class 5 felony. Ma'am, I really don't know what there is to say, really. I mean, I put you on probation. You didn't complete the intake. I put you back on probation. And I flat out told you, if you fail to report, I'm suspending 18 months. And you failed to report. So it's not like you were doing good. You failed to report. So I'm going to impose the 18 months I told you I would. There's a 2-year period of mandatory parole. And what's the credit?
There are 46 days of new credit.
And the total then?
It was 178, but 152 was already applied.
All right, well, we'll note the 178 days of pre-sentence confinement credit. And yeah. And ma'am, you may have a right to appeal that under Colorado Appellate Rule 4. Within 49 days, you may seek post-conviction reduction in sentence under Rule 35B within 126 days. I'm sorry. Good luck to you.
So what I gotta do?
Wait a minute, you're going to go to DOC for 18 months. It won't actually be that long, but that's.
I'm gonna bring Mr. Cisneros out.
What? I'm going to DOC for 18 months? But he told me only once if I didn't report, I would go to DOC. Doesn't he have to tell me like 8 times? This isn't fair. This is just not fair. Y'all are against me. This is harassment.
So what I got credit?
So you've got the 46, you're going to get 46 new days of credit because you've got 152 applied previously, and then you've got 26 plus the new 20.
He has over 100 people on his docket today, and he does not like them standing there talking about this right now.
This way, though. Right here. This way. Thank you.
All right, who's up next?
We can call Mr. Dixon while there's a.
This is the sad one, and sort of maybe a little past the limit of what I normally show.
23 CR 6210, number 97 on the court's docket.
Way past the limit.
People versus Cisneros entries.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Philip Bassiano appearing for the people.
And Jake Black on behalf of Mr. Cisneros, who's in custody to my left.
And Your Honor, before we get started, I believe the victim's aunt is waiting to be let in on WebEx. She's the 903 area code. And it's Miss Jenkins is her last name.
All right, this is good.
All right, looks like she's in.
Thank you.
Hold on a second. See, there's stuff impending now.
Yes, and I can address what that is, Your Honor.
All right, well, then it's nothing from the defense and,
It's from the probation department.
yeah, I'm sorry. So no additions or corrections to the PSI from the prosecution?
Not the PSI. The OSC is what the filing from probation is regarding.
Okay, any additions or corrections to the PSI from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, we got two memos here.
Yes.
Oh, no, a memo and an attachment. I already thought we had the SVP.
We did. The evaluator contacted probation, CC'd the people on it. I had sent it over to defense and I sent it to the court as well. There was a correction that was made to the SVP filing based on the evaluator's I guess, review of the SVP evaluation and designation she made. And I can note for the court the issue related to the second prong, identification of the relationship categories. In the initial finding, the SVP evaluator or the evaluator designated no as to A, B, and C. In the new filing, they corrected C to yes. Both evaluations indicated qualification as SVP, but this was a correction of the finding in order to further that SVP designation.
Okay.
That is my understanding.
I was wondering about that.
Yes, and we were prepared to address that today until I received this filing from probation.
Anyhow, go ahead, Mr. Bastian.
Your Honor, I know the victim's mother or victim's aunt, excuse me, Ms. Jenkins wanted to address the court. If I could ask the court unmute her and allow her to address the court.
Ms. Jenkins, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's your full name, please?
Clarice Marie Jenkins.
And what would you like me to know?
I just wanted to let you know that, since getting my niece away from Cruz, she's struggled. She was strung out on fentanyl. She went through terrible withdrawal. She was 13 years old at the time. And, she's made some big strides as far as trying to get back to some kind of normal, but this is something she's going to struggle with for the rest of her life. And I just appreciate everything that the courts and the detectives and everybody involved has done to locate this man and bring him through this process, because, my niece, this is something she's going to deal with for the rest of her life. She didn't understand, because she's a child, the nature of their relationship. She thought it was real. And I just want to make sure that he doesn't have access to do this to another child. Regular.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
And that's all, Your Honor.
All right, once his lawyer starts talking, you're going to get really mad if you're listening. But just breathe through it. That's his job. His job is to say these words. There ain't no way he believes them. None. Zero.
Places that were safe for her to go to. And so Ms. Jenkins took the victim into her care and brought her down to Texas. And fortunately, with that step, detectives were really able to get a sense of what was going on with the victim's life at that point. I will also note, initially, there is no restitution being requested in this case. The determination for this court at this point is a range on the prison sentence of 8 to 14 years on the Class 1 drug felony. There's a stipulation to the 10 years SOISP on the Class 5 felony that will run consecutive to DOC but concurrent with parole. Ultimately, we are asking for the full 14 years. The reason we believe the maximum sentence is appropriate here is really, I think.
No, it's damn difficult to hear the court cases and look at chat. I know. It's almost impossible.
I think pretty self-evident by the facts of this case, but Mr. Cisneros supplied the victim in this case with fentanyl on several occasions. The victim was 12, 13 years old at the time. I understand, and certainly I believe this would have been argued at trial that the victim had presented herself as an older individual, but that doesn't matter. It's not a defense. She was 13 years old. She was a child. And Mr. Cisneros began a relationship with her that transcended drug use. That relationship is fairly well articulated in the PSI, and for the victim's interest, I'm not going to go further into the extent of that relationship, but the court is well aware how Mr. Cisneros used essentially that age and power dynamic to his advantage in this case. I know there are lots of individuals who have this victim's, who are supporting this victim, everyone from her family in Texas through to her tribal community in Wyoming. And they are there to support her as she is healing. And I know she is still struggling and she is still healing and has a long road ahead of her, but she is a strong young woman. Actually, I should rephrase that. She's still a child under the law, but she's a child that has gone through a lot in her life, and she will bounce back. But this is a case about what's appropriate in terms of punishment for Mr. Cisneros, followed by the already agreed to rehabilitative aspect on the back end. And we think with the allegations and now convictions that he faces, the 14 years in the Department of Corrections is the appropriate sentence here. I understand and acknowledge Mr. Cisneros does not have any adult history, but the court can see he has a fairly lengthy juvenile history. And I understand Mr. Cisneros as well is a victim of drug use and abuse. But those things do not forgive his actions in this case and the impact those actions have had on a young, on a child, on a girl. With regards to the SVP issue, I believe the court should make the designation as indicated in the filing. I'm not sure if the defense will be contesting that at this point, if the defense is contesting that, and the court is hoping for some more information about that issue. I believe we would likely need to set a hearing on that to address, but with the evaluation presented and with the clarification now filed by probation, I believe he would qualify for that designation, and we're asking the court to make such findings. Nothing further unless the court has questions, other than to note no objection to the pre-sentence confinement credit.
Mr. White.
Yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Cisneros is requesting an 8-year sentence, and that's appropriate.
All right. They're asking for 14 just for the one charge. He's asking for 8. This is hard to get through. This part is hard to get through because it's all just...
If you look at the PSI and you look at the history that Mr. Cisneros himself has gone through, when he was 9 years old, he watched his father die. His mother is a victim of assault, and she was unhoused and unemployed in Denver. She received Social Security disabilities insurance. She has seizures, and his father was involved in domestic violence and served a DOC sentence. When Mr. Cisneros was 19 months old, he was placed in temporary custody of social services due to his father reporting to the hospital with intestinal bleeding, testing positive for cocaine and meth. He reported having a good life until things went downhill when his dad died when he was 9. Mr. Cisneros did not get much of a chance to have a normal childhood, but he does report that he enjoys playing basketball. He attended services at his Love Fellowship in church in Denver, and he does have a juvenile history. And I think that is because when he lost his father, everything fell apart. He didn't have the role models in his life that he needed, and he was adjudicated truant when he was 16 due to an inability to get to school, an inability to maintain housing. This is his first adult felony conviction, and he does not take it lightly. It is very serious. Even if the court gives the minimum sentence, it is likely that Mr. Cisneros serves the majority of that sentence due to DOC not providing treatment. DOC is currently being sued for prioritizing indeterminate sentences, and pretty much most people who are given determinate sentences do not see treatment in DOC. And because
Connecticut DOC is also getting sued. I can't remember by who. I had this hearing for a while because 312 prisoners have died in the last 8 months in DOC. So they think it has to do with mental health, and the people suing Connecticut Department of Corrections, they want the medical records of the prisoners. So the hearing that I had for the longest time recorded and wanted to play, they can't get these records because HIPAA and counselor confidentiality, with your psychiatrist and all kinds of red tape. But all these inmates they've died in DOC, so they're getting sued, but they're not allowed to have any of the records. So they were begging to just redact everything. Redact anything you can so that they can just have the records. They don't need the names attached. But the judge is like, yeah, however, if you get these records and it says that this guy had a mental health episode and attacked this guy, his wife would be able to determine from just that information who that is. So people are able to determine who that is. So we didn't have an answer at the end of the hearing whether they get these records or not. I wanted to play it, but I couldn't because it was all lawyer talk the whole time. All legal, pulling up cases and statutes, and you guys would not have sat through it. But just so you know, Connecticut is getting sued because all these prisoners have died in the last 8 months.
because of that, it is likely they get held till their MRD. Mr. Cisneros reports substance abuse throughout his life. Since he was 17, he typically consumed a couple of ounces of meth, 10 to 15 tablets of fentanyl a day. He was diagnosed with opiate use disorder. And in the PSI, he acknowledges that he needs treatment, and he was forthcoming with the evaluator. He's attempted overdoses 4 times in his life. He's been diagnosed depressed since the age of 8. He received mental health care between 8 and 11. He attended grief and loss program at Judy's house. And he's reported suicidal ideation between the ages of 17 and 19. He's been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, bereavement, and he's currently completing self-directed packets on conflict, anger management, and relationship conflict in the jail. He has spent 400 days in custody. And despite being adjudicated truant, when he was 22, he started working on getting his GED. Or in 2022, he started working on his GED and taking history classes in the jail. He's not been just sitting there languishing away. He was compliant throughout this evaluation. And I've done a few of these cases now, and I've never seen someone take accountability the way that he did. He is amenable to treatment. He says, I need treatment. I need therapy. He admits the allegations in the case. He doesn't blame the victim. And it's true. I mean, the discovery in this case, the facts that would come out at trial are that The victim in this case approached Mr. Cisneros at an RTD station asking him for fentanyl. I think if we had a knowingly defense to the age, then at least at that point, Mr. Cisneros had it. But there is no defense, and he's not asking to have a trial. He's taking accountability. I will note that when they met, according to the facts given in discovery, she lied about her age, but he also lied about his age. He said he was older than he was. And that indicates to me that he didn't know her age at that time. All around, it is a sad case. It's sad that there are people, kids, out doing fentanyl. It's sad that Mr. Cisneros, himself, maybe not a child under the law, but certainly in man years, a child. I will note that the victim said that she had been trafficked in the past, but that Mr. Cisneros was never involved in that, and that she loved him. And she did believe that it was a real relationship, despite her legal inability to consent. After Mr. Cisneros was released from jail, a missing person report went out that stated her true age of the victim. And this led to an argument. And then Mr. Cisneros tried to end the relationship. But then she convinced him that that was also a lie, and they started their relationship again. Mr. Cisneros takes full accountability for what happened, but this is not the case of a predator, of a pedophile. They both loved each other, whether it was right under the law or not.
She was 12 when he met her, 13 when it got worse.
And Mr. Cisneros' brain never fully developed to experience such a tragic grief at such a developmental age. He was a kid too.
Because his father died?
He noted in the
happens to all
PSI
of
that the
us.
worst thing that ever happened to him was watching his dad die. His niece was shot and killed when she was 10 years old. And again, I just want to praise Mr. Cisneros for being so open in this PSI, even evaluating himself as hopeful. This is a situation many adults could not fess up to. In the OSC, the evaluator goes through the various ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Mr. Cisneros has a lot of them. And people who experience these events during childhood are more likely to have poor mental health, poor physical health, compared to adults who do not experience these things.
I realized.
And besides from just watching his father die, he also endorsed the following ACEs. He's seen or heard someone being beaten up, stabbed, or shot in real life. His family would cut the size of meals because of budget. He was often feeling like he was being treated poorly because of his race or ethnicity.
Hi, Kiki.
He was living with someone who was depressed or mentally ill. He was living with an alcoholic at one point. He was living with someone who was sentenced to DOC. He watched a parent get screamed at, humiliated. He watched a parent get kicked, punched, and beaten up. All of these factors are contributing to Mr. Cisneros' behavioral problems. The evaluator noted that he took full accountability and that he didn't show problematic sexual interests, that he preferred adult women. This is not the type of case or the type of conduct that will ever happen again. And Mr. Cisneros is looking at a significant punishment. And as I mentioned, despite him being open to treatment, he's not going to get treatment until he gets out. And he's not likely to be paroled in the normal time frame. So this may be a truth in sentencing case because unless something changes at DOC, he's not getting treatment soon. So an 8-year sentence is an enormous punishment, and it appropriately punishes him for the conduct in this case. And then he's followed by that with consecutive 10 years of SOISP. And that will give him the opportunity to actually get treatment, to address the problems. And even with the minimum sentence, he's likely to be incarcerated for most, if not all, of his 20s. He is being sentenced.
I don't know why that statement ticked me off more than the rest of it so far, but he's going to lose his 20s, guys. He's going to lose his 20s.
On a DF1, but that is due to the fact of distributing to a minor. He is no kingpin. There is no minimum amount of fentanyl in this instance for a DF1. He was observed smoking fentanyl with the victim in this case as they were both using. It's a sad case for everyone involved. They were living together underneath a stairwell when this happened. So I will reiterate my request for an 8-year sentence, and Mr. Cisneros' mother would like to make a statement. Venus Martinez.
Oh my gosh. Guys. Get ready for this. I don't even know how to prepare you for this. There's no way to prepare you for this. Here comes his mom to try to help. Here we go. Breathe. Okay, here we go.
Could you pull that microphone down, please? And you're
no.
Venus Martinez?
Please.
Yes, I am.
All right, what would you like me to know, ma'am?
Well, I had, if you could, I do not know how to read very good. So,
Just speak to me from your heart.
okay, all right, I don't need this then. When Cruz, I'm going to tell you about Cruz. When he was a baby to now. When he was a baby, when he was born, he even had complications. I had complications having him because on a kind of, they seen the crown of his head and then he went back into me and they had to do emergency C-section on me. And then when they pulled him out of me, they scared him. So he had sniffed his first poop and he went under for 10 seconds and they bring him back. So he had difficulties then. And not only that, when he was 9, his dad passed away in front of him. So that took a toll on my son. And then his probate or attorney said his niece got killed at the age of 10 by a gun, by a bullet. And we've been going through a lot lately because after his dad passed away, we lost our place to live and we still don't have a place. And I take full responsibility on that because my sister and my brother passed away 4 months in between, and I had to help my family out with their financial difficulties. And they can even write me a note, a simple note saying that how much I owed it or how much I paid. So the welfare can pay for our apartment. So my family doesn't even support us. They would like to see us struggle out on the streets before they support us. And I love my son so much. I'm sorry for what's happening to him. When he was a baby until When he was a baby, you should have seen him. He was the beautifulest little baby. And my heart just breaks because he has to go through this. Most people say he's an adult. He's not an adult just because he's 21. He's a kid still in a man. But you know what? I would never turn my back on my son, ever. I always got his back.
All right. Well, thank you.
I love him with all my heart. And it's just breaking. It's breaking because I have to see him in handcuffs. Because we went through a lot. Me and Cruz went through a lot together. And for him to be in handcuffs because what's going on now, I don't think it's right for him to be going to prison for 14 years. If you can have lenience on Cruz, I know he did wrong in your eyes, in the system's eyes, but you know what? If you could give lenience to him, because he's already gone through a lot. We've both gone through a lot together.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And then finally, I would ask for a hearing on the SVP determination. We did get that new probation memo. I got it in the middle of court today. I would like a little bit of time to review that and before the court makes a factual finding that will significantly increase the punishment for a lifelong registration. So I would like to take the time to go through that.
Well, the ultimate finding wasn't changed. Okay. So you have the right to tell me anything you'd like me to know.
Just want to say sorry to everyone that's this affected. I've gone through a lot in my life, but I know I'm a changed person. I know the courts may not recognize this or none, but I found God in jail. And I do my own Bible studies and stuff. And that's just been healing me. I just want to continue to stay on my path of doing good.
Thank you, sir.
Ooh, guess who gets to talk now? The judge. Get him, judge. We have lots of words to say to this man that you have to give to him for us.
You know, sentencing is hard. People are complex. And yeah, you've suffered a lot in your life, and your mother has suffered a lot in your life. I hope you have made a change in your life, and nothing I do today is going to change that. You will get out, and then you will be the person you want to be at that time. But the bottom line right now is you began a relationship with a girl when she was 12. And you began having sex with her at least by the time she was 13. There's no, I thought she was older. She was 13. And the reality is, had you gone to trial and been found guilty, we'd be looking at 32 years. And the reality is, for drugging up a 13-year-old and having sex with her, you probably deserve 32 years. So the leniency and everything else, like, I do appreciate that you've taken responsibility, which is why I even accepted the stipulation in this case. I could very easily have rejected the stipulation, said, no, you're going to trial, and then I get to sentence. You took responsibility. Mr. Bassiano took this into consideration. And there's a cap of 14 years. And yeah, you've earned 14 years. I am going to sentence you to 14 years in the Department of Corrections. There's a 3-year period of mandatory parole. Frankly, anything less. And as a society, if the day comes when you have children, if someone had sex with your daughter when they were 12, you'd be asking for the death penalty. Not just 14 years. So you've earned every single day of that 14 years for that action. Now, you're not going to do 14 years. You will get out before that 14 years. There is that 3-year period of parole. You're going to have plenty of life left to be the person that you're telling me that you've changed and you've become. On count 4, I will sentence you to the 10 years of SOISP consecutive to count 3, but concurrent with the parole. The conditions 26, 27, 29 listed in the PSI are also a condition of your SOISP, and the recommendations on page 18 of the sex offender of the evaluation are also conditions of your SOISP. I will find that you are a sexually violent predator. The 4 prongs of 18.3.414.5 have been established by both instruments that have been submitted to the court, but even by the court's knowledge and the facts that you've pleaded guilty to.
No, he got 14 years. He got 14 years and then parole and a sex offender for the rest of his life.
You're 18 years old on the time of at least 18 on the date of offense. You're convicted of a qualifying crime. The victim had been a stranger when you met and you promoted this relationship. Yeah, for drugs, but yeah, for sex. And the evaluations also indicate, I mean, I understand your attorney indicates that this is a crime that'll never happen again. Well, all the instruments and the best information we have available indicate that you are a moderate high risk to recidivate. So I can't help but find that you are likely to commit one or more of these offenses again in the future. And so I do find that you are a sexually violent predator. You will have to register as a sex offender upon release. I will note that there is no restitution being sought, and I will note the 400 days of pre-sentence confinement credit. So you do have, you may have a limited right to appeal this decision under Colorado Appellate Rule 4. You'd have to do that within 49 days.
He's not getting paroled after 3 years. He might be eligible for parole in 3 years, but he's not getting out in 3 years, not on this charge.
And within 126 days, you have a right to file under Rule 35B a motion for post-conviction reduction in sentence. You're remanded. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We got one more clip to bring us
14.
out of that Terrible. Yes, the victim lives with her aunt now in a different state.
Counsel.
We're ready on this. Luna is 58.
Mm. 24 CR 2273, People versus Luna. Entries?
Sam Romano for the people.
Josh Lindell on behalf of Ms. Luna, who appears with me in custody.
Right. We're set for sentencing today, right? Parties ready to proceed?
People ready, Your Honor.
Defenses as well.
Go ahead, prosecution.
So, Your Honor, this is a case where Your Honor did not take the plea. However, Ms. Luna pled guilty to count one, motor vehicle theft and F5. We did reach an agreement based on some mitigation.
This is not the Hallmark Channel. These are court cases.
Sent to the people by Mr. Lindell, indicating that Ms. Luna has had a difficult journey with sobriety and that she was under the influence or has been struggling with sobriety and struggling with drug use. Based on that, she did pick up multiple offenses around the same time. I'm not sure if it's open to the court. Obviously, we don't have a PSI, but there's three 23 CR cases. There's a 24M case. And this is all while there was a split plea DJ in a 24 CR case. Based on the mitigation of Ms. Luna's struggle with sobriety, the people did agree.
I did see a discrepancy between the minute orders and is the cap 4 years ComCore or 4 years DOC?
ComCore, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Based on the mitigation provided by the defense, the people did agree to the cap of ComCore. However, the people did not agree to a probation stipulation. The reason for that, I think, is apparent based on Ms. Luna's current interactions with the criminal justice system. I mean, she has so many pending cases, all while, or at least many of these being while she was on probation on a deferred judgment. I frankly think that we'd be wasting our time with probation. I understand that Ms. Luna has attained a bed in a sober living facility, although understanding that she would have to continue payment for that and have to interact with that. I just don't think that Ms. Luna is a viable candidate for probation. I think that community corrections would provide the structure that would allow her to hopefully address her addiction issues while also keeping her accountable for this crime amongst also while she was on a DJ. I do think that the 4 years is appropriate here. My understanding is that community corrections typically, in order to be most effective, takes about 2 to 3 years. I do think given the nature of the offense, given how many pending cases and the fact that she was on a DJ, the full 4 years is appropriate and will adequately, hopefully, help her when it comes to rehabilitation, but also serve as a deterrent to her continuing to commit any of these offenses.
Are all those Adams County cases still pending?
She's entered pleas in them, but they are waiting sentencing.
What direction are they going?
Drug court. That's a big part of my argument.
The Arapahoe, as I understand it, in the 24 CR 111.
It's when they defer the sentence. So if you get through it, it gets dismissed. Not for her.
It's a Chinese menu kind of sentence where it's 3 years probation if she gets into drug court, but it's ComCore if she doesn't. And
I've spoken to the attorneys in the other
Arapahoe.
two counties, and my understanding is everyone not only has drug court on the table, but anticipates Ms. Luna will be admitted to drug court, and that is the direction it will go. That is based on my conversations with her attorneys. I am not, I'm not going to make any representations about whether that is or is not going to happen, but that is my understanding is she has applied.
Arapahoe is set for 12/16. When is Adams set?
On the 19th.
On 12/19?
Yes.
Deferred.
And is she being held here or is she being held elsewhere?
Being held here. I mean, she's being held across all three, but here is the predominating sentence, I think.
I don't need a writ. How about we continue till December 23rd? I mean, look, if I put her in ComCore, I basically shut down everybody.
I do have the 2 acceptance of rehab that they've accepted me, and they're willing to pay for that as well.
Are they ordering PSIs?
I already had that.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see a PSI in Arapahoe, and
I got in contact with the attorneys, and they didn't have them at the time of our sentencing. They said they should be ready after ours.
all right, we're going to continue sentencing until December 23rd. I'd like to review these PSIs.
What about bond? Can we argue bond? Because my kids are already here and I don't want.
Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
What's that?
Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
Okay.
If we do that.
Was. Yeah,
All right, and I think that concludes our docket. All 104 cases
8 minutes to spare.
with 8 minutes to spare.
He does long dockets, like hours. 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours. He's done when the docket's over. He did have a docket the other day that was only like 63 cases long, which is just super short for him. But even though he has these long dockets with so many people, look at how much time he's spending with each of them. He doesn't push people through. You know how some dockets, it gets continued. We're here for continuance. He gets plenty of those, but he doesn't continue unless he has to, and he spends this amount of time with all of them, talking to them, knocking them down. Guys, thank you so much for coming out today. I really appreciate it. I am going to do OJ at least one. I'm going to do at least one OJ before I fall asleep. So it'll take me 3 minutes to get OJ up. This was, it's Colorado. He does, I think Denver. I'm really sure it was Denver. Fozzie, I just said goodbye to everybody. Just kidding. I got a picture of Linus and her father's kitty cat. Thank you, Cha. See, Fozzie, I'm a professional. No, is it Adams County? Hold on, I'm trying to remember going through the list. I can't remember. I can't remember what court he's in. I know it if I see my list. I know exactly where to go. But I can't remember because the list is hundreds of courts long. Look at the pretty kitty. And then look at this thing, too. Linus, you're so pretty. Alright, guys. Give me 3 minutes and I'll put OJ on. Thanks for coming out, guys. Bye.
Got these lights that goes digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Freedom tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With each stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no